Shanti.
It is so wonderful to welcome my dear friend, Karena Virginia. She is the Kundalini Yoga and Empowerment Guru that I am so blessed to call my friend. Welcome.
Thank you. It's so nice being here with you and with everybody on this beautiful winter morning on the East Coast of America.
Yes, and me here with the beautiful sun on the French Riviera, which I kind of need in wintertime. I need as much sun as possible.
I think we all do. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Karena, I am so grateful that this year we got to teach together twice, doing workshops at the beautiful 1440 Multiversity in California. And you have shared a story in our new book, Magic and Miracles. And I'm so, so excited about this.
I'm really, really touched by all the stories that I've been reading from your book, and it's really lovely to be a part of it.
Well, thank you for opening up and sharing. You and I have talked about this over the last few years since we've met, that some of the things that we've experienced from childhood, and you probably more than me, these are things that sometimes we wouldn't share openly. We wouldn't be publishing in books and telling the whole world about our experience with angels and voices and things. But I know that you believe, like I do, that now is the time for us to share some of the magic that is available to us so that we can get through these challenging times that we're seeing on Earth.
Yeah, and I also feel like if we don't, we're going to go into depression, right? That pressing of our calling down into the place of creating stuck energy. In Kundalini Yoga, it's the dormant energy that rises that creates the flow of the, oh my goodness, there was just this huge breeze. Okay, what do you want us to talk about? Not that. Okay. Whoa. At first I thought, okay, there's maybe the heat just went on, but whoa, that was pretty wild.
So we're not alone.
We're not alone. Okay, so let's just see. It's happening again. Let's just see if there's something that is meant to come through both of us right now for everyone. Yeah, wow. So I guess just keeping it real and see what flows through. Yeah. But in Kundalini Yoga, it's the dormant energy that rises, that brings us our awakening. And so many of us are walking around stuck with this repressed energy. And when my husband and I were in Paris just a few weeks ago, I was looking at the beautiful art in the museums, and I was looking at some of these creations thinking that is God working through a paintbrush. That is not a human being that could create that. And then we had a tour, and this woman was talking about this artist and that artist and how these paintings were not invited to the special seminar, and this person was known to be really weird, and this art was known to be flawed, and this artist was known to, and I thought, wow. And I've had that same experience in Italy with the Renaissance art, where I thought, okay, so these artists, thank God they kept painting, right? And you look at Michelangelo, who said, I just chiseled through the stone, and this is what appeared, right? The Pietà, or any of his beautiful art. And he got on his back and he painted the entire ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, right? So these are miracles. And I feel that right now we are living in a spiritual renaissance. I truly do. And I know that many of my friends and me are getting these incredible messages like, please share this.
Yeah.
But we don't realize that what we have is a gift because we were born this way. And as children, when we talked about it, it was, we don't talk about that. You're imagining it. Fairies aren't real. Even the tooth fairy is not real. You're just, playing Tinkerbell. So we learned how to say, this is different, I'm different, and all I really want is to connect. All I really want is to not feel separate. So bringing some of these gifts to the surface can easily bring up that fear of I'm separate and people don't understand me and I'm misunderstood. And that is creating a barrier between so many people and me. But we're here to leave a legacy right now.
Yep.
We're artists. And so that, I sometimes think, let my pencil, because I like to write more than type, let my pencil be my paintbrush and let God move the pencil. What does God want me to share with the world? And you know this, I've told you this before, I've posted things that have come through me so powerfully, and then I've, an hour later, deleted them.
Yeah.
And sometimes I even look back, or I'll make it private, because I'll say, I really want to keep this for myself. So I'll make it private on Facebook, and then a couple of years later even, the memory comes up and I'll think, wow, that was really like way ahead of the time, but I took it down.
Mm-hmm.
So what is this wind telling us? How many people watching this are artists, dancers, musicians, athletes, whatever your gift is? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of being different? Sometimes what we're really afraid of is being magnificent.
Yeah.
Because what about if we're so magnificent that other people are threatened by that magnitude, and then they decide to, I discovered this many years ago through an amazing therapist, they're going to decide, what about all these people are going to decide we are better off without her because she triggers that part of us that doesn't have that really big energy.
Yep.
Right. And so I learned how to really play small and just fit in and keep my mouth shut. I can remember actually saying, okay, today when I'm with all these women and we're out and we're doing whatever we're doing, out for dinner, I will make it my mission to speak only a few words and just listen. Because I always knew that when I started to speak, there was this kind of distance that would happen. But that was when I was trying really hard to stay in the programming of the world that I thought was normal, the world that I felt was so normal.
And I think that's definitely what we've had in common is I grew up with this feeling like, oh no, I just found out that other people don't hear voices. They don't have these dreams and visions of things before they happen. I want to be accepted and like them. I didn't like being looked at like I was a total weirdo. And now that I've been working with other people who've had similar gifts or experiences, we recognize that fear that we get for being judged may even have generational ties to, other people who could see the future or divine things or heal without medicines. They were burned at the stake as witches.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't always feel safe. Yeah.
There's a fear of survival, as well as survival in the way of feeling connected to people, survival in the way of staying alive.
Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like, as you're saying, this is really the time for us to be mindful of who do we want to be remembered as, and not in terms of fame, but am I going to die with this feeling like, well, I played it safe, I did all the little things that society wanted, or am I willing to step into this greater purpose and greater mission for my life, to leave that legacy, as you say?
I think you are 100% hitting the nail on the head. And I think that what we're seeing with a lot of spiritual teachers who found their way by finding a niche that wasn't truly their authentic selves, and who have to keep up with that, we're finding them really crash and burn. And you and I have discussed this too, where we both, when we saw that happening in our own lives, we both said, I got to let this go.
Exactly.
And that's happened to me twice. And I know that in those moments, the message is, this is not about becoming a famous spiritual teacher or a famous whatever. This is about making a difference in the world. And when I leave this planet, it's not going to be about how many fans I have.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be about how many people I've touched. And if I can leave a legacy. One of the most beautiful people that I met a couple months ago was Gloria Steinem. And, I said, a lot of the things that I had been experiencing in my life to her, and it was so beautiful. She goes, listen, she goes, I love I wrote this down and I'll never forget it. I love when people call me a bitch. And I said, you do? And she said, oh yeah. When people call me a bitch, it's the greatest compliment. It means I'm making a difference in the world. And I felt that was, her mission in life was not about, and is because, just being with her for that day, I saw her mission is not about being famous. Her mission is about being the change that we need in this world. Mm-hmm. And she said also something so beautiful. She said, I am not handing the torch to anyone. When I cross over, I am not handing the torch. I am lighting as many torches as I possibly can. Oh. And that's what my mission is. Let me light up as many people as I can. Mm-hmm. I don't need to be known as Karena Virginia. I just need my soul to know that when it moves on, it has left light and magnetic frequencies on this planet for my children, my grandchildren, and all the beautiful souls that walk this earth. And I look at children, little children, and I don't know them, but I love them. Yeah. For you, right?
Yeah. That is so, I love the way you just described that, because that is so much what I have experienced over the last year. There are many people that said, Andrea, you're lifting up all these other people, publishing now these kind of group books, and we add in as much, media promotion as we can, because I've had that exact same feeling that my role right now is to activate as many light workers as possible, so that there is this ripple effect of light just streaming across our planet and magnetizing and magnifying the light and the healing and the love that exists within all of us. I truly believe it exists within all of us, and that we can just start to create these sparks that wake people up.
I agree 100% as well. And it takes moving out beyond an ego as well. Yeah. And being honest about it. When we were at 1440, one of the most famous yoga teachers in the world was teaching at the same time that we were teaching, right? And I won't say her name, but she and I were having a meal, and we started talking about this. And she's also very, very much of a pioneer in what we're talking about. It's not about fame, but a lot of people still think it is, right? But she was saying how easy it is for us, if we let our egos get involved, to feel threatened by the younger light worker that comes in that's radiant and energetic and truly has a gift, right? And we see that happening oftentimes with teachers. And she said that someone who's an up-and-coming yoga teacher came up to her and said, I want to learn everything from you. And she said to her, and I love this, she said, I will teach you everything as long as when you have a name like I have, which this other person actually has now, you make sure that when a younger, magical person comes along, that you also give her what I'm giving you. Wow. And I thought so beautiful. Mm-hmm. And, this is a woman our age, the same generation as us. What about if we all of us that have gifts start to think that way? Yeah. Oh, here comes someone who's, in her 20s, or let me give you everything I know, take it, and you bring this to your peers, or you, rather than thinking, what if someone takes my words? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're not our words. They come through us. Exactly. And yet, it can trigger something. We do see people copying us. I've been there. I've done it. Yeah. And sometimes it can be someone who has a huge following, and you'll see your own words there. And it takes that moment of, these are God's words. And maybe that person can touch all these people. Yep. And maybe that person can save someone. And maybe those words did come through me, but they were never mine. That paintbrush, right?
Yeah.
is God's. And so, I don't know why this wind had us talking about this instead of angels, but I think it's something that a lot of people are really contemplating right now. The importance of staying authentic and wearing our own clothes.
Yeah.
And being loved for what we're wearing, not being loved for pretending to put on a suit that doesn't fit us so that other people love us, because that's not sustainable.
No. Nope. Been there, done that. And it is truly, it's not sustainable. It's not fun. And it doesn't provide growth and evolution for your own soul. Like, I know that since I've come out of the closet as, this spiritual teacher with all of my various clairaudient, clairsentient, whatevers, it has allowed me to progress so much further on my own personal journey, not even just as a teacher, but on my own journey.
For your soul.
Yes.
Your soul's journey.
Yes.
And how beautiful is that?
It's awesome.
Isn't that what it's all about?
Absolutely. It starts, for me, it's allowed me to feel like my life is bigger than just business, than just, doing what we do as parents in the world. And it is this idea of lighting up other people, giving them this magic fairy dust so that they can amplify their own gifts. And of course, there are going to be people flying, I hope, even higher than us. And that is the gift, to know that we're going to be able to leave that behind. But okay, so we definitely have to talk about the story in this beautiful book that has
just... And are you going to tell everybody that it just arrived and the doorbell rang right before we pressed record?
I know. It was so fortunate that we hadn't pressed record. All of a sudden the buzzer goes off, Sienna runs down, and this is what's delivered. This is the proof copy of Magic and Miracles, which releases today, the print version in 2 days from now. But Karena, what's so beautiful about the story that you share in this book, Angels Are Among Us, in our Magic and Miracles book, is that you were really, really visited at a time when I know every person that I know personally was really feeling the shock waves of fear and terror and sadness. And that was September 11th, 2001, just after the World Trade Center had fallen and a plane crashed into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., where I was at the time. And the story that you share in this book, which opens with you wondering, is my husband okay? Because your husband was down there doing his normal work as an attorney when those planes were flying. And I'm just so struck by how the angels came to you.
I'll never forget that.
It's so poignant. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So Gabriella, my daughter, was 6 weeks old, and I was very hormonal. And I think that is really important, because just last night I was a little moody with my husband, and it came to me again, Karena, you made a promise you weren't going to do this, right? Because, and it's a very interesting thing where we come right back into the physicality of human existence, right? And we can be irritable, right? And then we have to say, whoa, remember what happened. And so it's interesting. We're talking about this right now because it just came over me last night. And I was thinking, don't forget to give him a kiss goodnight. Don't forget to give him a kiss in the morning, because I was very irritable on Monday evening and Sunday evening. And I was angry at him because I was a nursing mom with a 6-week-old baby. I wasn't sleeping, and he still wanted to play golf. And, this is very typical of being a new parent, right?
Yeah.
And the brat came out. The shadow side brat in me was like, and I was extremely, extremely passive aggressive about it, which is my other shadow side. So anyway, looking back at it, when Tuesday morning came and he was at the World Trade Center, and my sister-in-law called me and said, are you watching the news? And then I turned it on and I saw what was happening. In that moment, it was, my husband's gone, and I didn't appreciate him. That's what I felt. And it was so real. But it's amazing how much that came over me, because that was a huge lesson in my life, right? But in terms of everybody else, people were gone.
Yeah.
And by the time my husband came home with his business partner, they were covered in debris. And I went to give him a hug. It was after a long day of not being in touch with him. And my parents were in Italy, and I didn't have anyone around. I just went to the neighbor's house. It was awful. But he was, don't come near me. And so, of course, I went into this place of shame of, oh my gosh, he's really mad at me because of how I was. But, you know, and that's another thing that I've really learned about myself. Is it my fault? Meanwhile, it was, don't come near me because I'm covered in this stuff.
Yeah.
So the suits went in the garbage. They took showers. And the long and the short of it is that I did everything I could to make up for everything that was happening, to the point of exhaustion.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, your sympathetic nervous system comes into drive. And so I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm taking care of a baby. I'm, you know, like practically massaging both of them. I mean, I'm doing everything I possibly can. And I didn't have a chance to really experience the relief of him being home. And I took my daughter upstairs and I put some music on and said, I need to meditate. And that's when it happened. And I just started to cry and cry for all these people that had wet toothbrushes in their bathroom and no one was coming home to use that toothbrush again. I mean, that's how real it was.
Yeah.
And in that moment, it was an experience like I used to have as a child, but there weren't even just thousands, you know, and there were thousands of people who had died, but there were literally, it was like millions of angels. It was like all these angels that came to get those angels that were brought up into heaven. It was this massive, and I didn't have any feeling of, I need to share this with people. Why is this happening? It wasn't anything like that. It was just, oh,
wow.
Wow. Wow. And in that moment, I knew everything was going to be okay in a spiritual sense.
Right.
In terms of my own physical body, I went into total PTSD. But there's a difference between the PTSD that happens from, you know, the back of the brain. And obviously, if anyone knows about this, it's you. But it's a very big difference between the PTSD that happens to the physicality of us and the spiritual aspect of knowing that PTSD is not real, because you kind of you go in and out. And that's really also the negative mind, we call it in Kundalini Yoga, which is the part of us that protects us. We need to have that, because if we were only experiencing the angelic, we wouldn't be able to survive. We would be one of them, right? But they need us here. So the experience was just so euphoric and so beautiful. But I will say that when I did start to tell people about it, just even a little bit, people just pushed back.
Yeah.
And I did have students that came to class who had lost a spouse. And I did have another student who was a prenatal yoga student who lost her mother.
Wow.
And I did have a lot of people in my energy field. And what I learned was just to love them, because if I had told them about the experience, there was a lot of pushback from it.
It's too soon.
It was too soon. Yes. And so this is really the first time I've written about it. Because I know quite a few people who lost a loved one, that day. And, this is the first time that I've been able to feel like I can take up the space of writing my experience, because for a long time it was, this is not about me.
Yeah.
It's about them, you know? And now this is not about me either. This is about everyone. And this is about what happens when we cross over. This is about everyone having hope that they will see their loved ones again, and knowing that, yes, that wind that came, that's often a message from angels. And when my brother's wife passed away, that wind came through a window that I was teaching a class in, along with the window of my brother's house, which was an hour away, along with her own mother's house, which was across the country, along with Europe.
Wow.
The same wind.
And that just brings up another story. Actually, it's not in Magic and Miracles. Sorry. Abby Pearsall, one of your dear friends who was with us at 1440, as she shared her story in Life After Trauma, she felt that swoosh of wind with the passing of her mother's soul.
Yes.
So these souls that there are different ways that we experience them. Like you actually saw millions of angels, but we might just feel that whoosh of wind or that sense that we're not alone. What do you think is the other message now that you have this distance from the events? I know that you're now a lot more comfortable saying out loud that, yes, angels are here. It happened when we were in California together. It was just like, oh, yeah, your mom's here. Yeah. And you're just like, yep, hello.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah. So what's my message in that for everybody? Again, it's interesting how it comes full circle to the beginning of our conversation. Everybody was born here with a gift. And we don't realize that our gift is a gift because we're so used to it. And so, we had 3 people in our workshop at 1440 who had just lost their mom, right? And so what is, we were just talking about this. Their moms, for sure, brought them there so they could feel nurtured by us. I mean, those kind of things happen quite often. I've had many clients who've lost their moms, and I can feel it. What's the message? The message is, if you're a painter, pick up your paintbrush. If you're a musician, pick up your guitar. If you're an athlete, can you hear the wind?
No.
Oh, I wish that you could hear that. I mean, I wish you could all hear this. The trees are just blowing so much outside. I wish you could see this, but you don't need to see it. Just trust me. So what is your gift? If you're listening here and you're watching us, what are you afraid of? Why are you afraid to shine so big with your gift when it's a gift from God? And if it's that you're afraid of being too magnificent and having pushback, or if it's afraid of being misunderstood, or if it's afraid of not being good enough, or if it's afraid of failing, right? Whatever it is, can you honor that and work with that fear? Can you accept that and embrace that as fear? And then move beyond the fear into the recognition and the recognizing of being a human being on this planet with generational stuff, because a lot of our fear, even if we can't work through it from our own selves, like we were saying, comes from our ancestors. And many of our ancestors have been through some very difficult times, right? Life is, full of different challenges. So and they're finding this in the cells, right? Yeah. The epigenetics is showing us that we are carrying the weight of our ancestors in our own cells. So if it can't be worked through by speaking about it and processing it, then there's energy work. And I find that energy work is by far the most miraculous. And I find that with clients that I've worked with, or whenever, teaching at a retreat, what I find is that when we start to work with the energy, the release happens. And we heard quite a few people saying that from 1440, that they had been working through these issues for so long. Why did those issues melt away during that time at 1440, right? And many reasons. You're on a retreat. There's, beautiful energy in the redwoods. But also what happens when we do energy work is that the imprints that live in our auric field that don't serve us literally dissolve. Remember we talked about the daggers into radiance and how can we create that alchemy. And what goes on in our lives lives in an invisible field around us, which we call the electromagnetic field. And there are 5 layers of that field, and one of them is ancestral. So healing all of that so that the fear goes away, so that you can live into this spiritual renaissance time with your magic and with your miracle.
Yes. Let that sink in. Because I'm really feeling the power. I might have previously felt it as a burden or a weight, but I feel the power that we have right now to clear up the ancestral stuff, in addition to clearing ourselves and paving the way for our children and our children's children. Because we do stand at a very beautiful time right now, where us talking about magic and miracles, something I wouldn't have done in my career on television years ago.
Oh,
I feel
gosh.
confident doing it now.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that I am standing with my ancestors at my back, both supporting me as well as getting healed by this sort of clearing of accepting that this is who I really am. This is what I'm here to do. Claiming my gifts means I'm claiming it for them too.
Yes, absolutely. And there's something really important I want to say about that. I was teaching a healing workshop just last week, and we were doing a lot of lifting out of our body and seeing what our ancestors had to say to us. And this one beautiful woman after the workshop said to me, I felt that there was a resistance from one of my ancestors not wanting me to step into a lot of my potential. And I said, was that really your ancestor? And we started to process it, because when we're doing healing work and when we get into that place of quiet, we're clearing our subconscious fears. Yeah. So it's like cleaning out a closet. When you clean out that closet, that stuff comes out and you're going, what is this? And what do I do with this? And are these my gloves, right? Or are these someone else's gloves? And should I give them back to someone? Should I donate them? Should I wear them, right? Well, the subconscious mind is that storehouse. And it's the same thing. So whenever we do energy work, these fears will come up. So it's very important to be able to discern, is this mine? Is this my subconscious fear? Or is this an ancestor working through me? And what I know for sure is that when loved ones cross over, they only give us love, and they only give us light, and they only support us. They don't give us those warnings because they know that we have free will. They don't give us those messages that can create fear. They never give us a feeling of, they give us a feeling of ease and peace. So if that feeling of comes over you in that relaxed state, can you process that as a subconscious thought pattern that is holding you back, and can you release it, and can you just visualize it going back up to the heavens?
Sounds like something we could explore in an upcoming retreat.
Yes. Yeah, I know. Well, we have so many things that we can explore in upcoming retreats. My goodness, talk about magic, right?
I know. I'm so excited for 2019. I know that every time we get together, we get to take it to another level. So getting together again for one of these magical retreats is going to be awesome.
And we'll just allow it to come to us, and we'll allow it to come to all of you. We don't know where or when or how, but you don't need to ask how. You just allow.
Yeah. And that is really what this book is about. It's about allowing us to get to a space where we can open our mind and our heart just enough to say, you know what? I'm going to allow the life to unfold, the universe to show me, an angel to show up, some sort of sign that shows that we're not alone, that we don't have to carry this burden all by ourselves.
Yeah. And if you don't see the physicality of an angel, that's okay.
Yeah. Sometimes people are angels. I believe people come to us as the angelic presence.
Absolutely. 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 100%. There's many different ways that angels work, right? But is there an angel working through you? Mm-hmm. You know, that's, I think, what this wind message was. So I don't know who this is for. Maybe it's for all of us. But when I closed my eyes and really asked the message of what is this wind saying? I really truly believe that this wind is, a message from the angels saying, please share your gifts, share them now. This world really needs you. And what you were born to share is what you were born to share, not to hide.
Yep. And nobody else can do it but you.
Nobody else can do it but you.
Oh, Karena, of course I could just sit here and talk with you all day.
Me too.
And have so much fun. I will invite folks to get a copy of Magic and Miracles so that you can read beautiful Karena's story. You can connect with her online at KarenaVirginia.com and on social media so that you can stay tuned to her updates. She sends out these beautiful, heartfelt emails, as well as information on her Kundalini courses and books and online training programs. Such good stuff.
Oh, I love you so much.
And I adore you, my friend. Thank you so much again for sharing your story in this book. I know that it's going to be such a blessing in people's lives.
And bless you all. I love you all. And follow your heart. And do you, because you do you so well.
Thank you, Karena. Much love.
Love, love, love.
Did you enjoy that interview? I sincerely hope that you did. If you did, please click that like button and share this video with someone else who needs a little positivity and magic sprinkled into their life. Please support the authors by getting a copy of the book and visit magicandmiraclesbook.com to claim some free gifts from many of our authors. If you have had something magical or miraculous that has happened in your life, or you have a story about resilience that you think you'd like to share with the world, then please check out our publishing options online at makeyourmarkglobal.com. Until I see you again, my friend, please remember that you are a gift to the world and you're a miracle. So share your presence with passion. Much love. Bye.